Hey internet friends, my name is Elena. Welcome to Athens. Today we're visiting the Acropolis, the sacred rock that has watched the city breathe for thousands of years. It's officially protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognized globally for its universal cultural value. And yes, it's one of those must-do experiences, even if you're not a history person, because the Acropolis isn't just a beautiful ruin. It's a place where ideas were shaped, democracy, theater, philosophy, art, the foundations of how the modern world learned to think. In this video, I'll give you two things: a practical first-time friendly plan for visiting and an easy overview of what you're actually looking at once you step up there.
Good morning from the Acropolis. Today is the first Sunday of 2026 January, and we're exploring one of the oldest monuments in Greece. It's amazing, the weather is beautiful, it's less crowded than it is in summer, and I highly recommend visiting and exploring Athens in low season.
Now, before we climb into the ancient world, let's start with the modern one: how to get here smoothly. Depending on where you're staying, you can reach the Acropolis area by metro, bus, tram, taxi, or even on foot if you're in central Athens. If you're coming from the southern suburbs, the direction of the Athenian Riviera like me, the easiest route is the metro from Elliniko on the Red Line, and you get off at Acropolis station. The metro here isn't just a transport, it's a moving museum. Many stations display archaeological finds, and the Acropolis station also has ancient artifacts on show, which is the perfect warm-up for what you're about to see above the ground. The metro is clean, well-kept, and very easy to navigate because Athens has 3 lines, so you don't need to overthink it. Acropolis has 2 entrance points. Now you're seeing the South Slope entrance. This is the entrance closest to the Acropolis Museum site, and it's a wonderful way to start because the climb unfolds like a story: theater, healing sanctuaries, Roman landmarks, and then the grand reveal. The main entrance is on the west side, and yes, taxis can usually drop you near here, traffic rules depending, and it's also where the tour buses and sightseeing buses commonly stop. This is typically the busiest entrance, especially later in the morning, but the best entrance is simply the one that's closest to where you're coming from. Now the very important practical part. Tickets are time slotted. Your entry is tied to the time you book, and your ticket is valid in a short window around that slot, 15 minutes before and after, so don't treat it like it's any time today ticket. My personal strategy: arrive, clear security, and aim to enter just after your slot begins so you avoid the everyone arrives early wave. For all the details, operating hours, and costs, please check the description box below. Also, you can download the free Cosmote Chronos, a scientifically documented 3D virtual tour app. You can use both at the Acropolis and with selected Acropolis Museum content. If you start your visit from the South Slope, the Acropolis doesn't begin with the Parthenon. It begins with theater. Very soon you'll encounter the ruins connected to the Theater of Dionysus, the world where ancient drama took its most famous steps. This is one of those places that remind you Athenians didn't just build temples, they built spaces for ideas, language, performance, and community. Right here, you'll spot a sign pointing to the ancient street of tripods. In ancient Athens, tripods were prizes, awarded during dramatic competitions linked to the theater nearby. Imagine this street lined with victory monuments, a little like classical version of a Walk of Fame, except instead of celebrity names, it celebrated patrons who funded performances. The Theater of Dionysus is tied to the dramatic tradition that shaped Western theater. You will also pass the Stoa of Evmenes, a long colonnade that supported movement and gathering on this slope. Even as ruins, these places still feel like infrastructure for human life, not just stone for stone's sake. On your left, you'll see remains tied to another sponsor's monument, connected to Nikias. And here's the fascinating part: in later centuries, pieces of monuments like this were taken apart and reused in defensive walls. After invasions, Athens needed protection, and ancient marble became building material. It's a reminder that history isn't one clean era, it's layers, reuse, survival, and reinvention. Now we're at the sanctuary of Asclepius, dedicated to the god of healing. People came here seeking cures, rituals, hope, and I love that this is the part of the Acropolis experience because it really tells you something intimate. Ancient Athens wasn't only politics and perfection, it was also vulnerability. People wanted to be well. They wanted their lives to make sense. They came to sacred places for answers, just like we do in our own modern ways. The ancient walk Peripatos also leads to a bronze foundry, where bronze statues were cast. There isn't much to see today, but it's still a powerful detail. This hill wasn't only spiritual, it was also a place of craft, technique, and making. As you continue your walk, instead of continuing straight uphill, take the steps on your left because this is one of the most rewarding pauses of the entire walk. Below you unfolds the Odeon of Herodes Atticus, one of the most atmospheric theaters in the world. Built in 161 AD by the Athenian statesman Herodes Atticus in memory of his wife, this Roman-era Odeon with capacity of seating around 4,500 to 5,000 spectators. For decades, it has been one of Athens' most magical performance venues, a place where music, stone, and night sky come together. I've been fortunate to attend several performances here over the years, including an unforgettable evening with Andrea Bocelli, one of those moments that stays with you long after the last note fades. The Odeon is currently closed for an extensive multi-year restoration, so for now it can only be admired from above. We're heading towards the monumental entrance, the Propylea, built in the 5th century BC as part of Pericles' ambitious program. Even in fragments, it feels like a statement. You're entering a sacred precinct. To one side, you'll spot the small but perfectly placed Temple of Athena Nike, a temple of victory poised like a punctuation mark on the edge of the rock. And as you approach the grand staircase area, you'll also notice the pedestal of the Monument of Agrippa, a Roman footprint on a Greek sacred site. Remind you again how many eras have claimed a relationship with this hill. Once you're inside, you'll notice something distinctly modern, newer pathways that make the Acropolis easier and safer to navigate. Still, there's plenty of ancient marble on an exposed hill. Wear sturdy shoes. Marble slopes and wind are beautiful, but not forgiving. And then the moment everyone waits for, the Parthenon. Even if you've seen it in countless times in photos, standing beside it, it is different. This imposing Doric temple was dedicated to Athena Parthenos, protector of the city. It was designed by architects Ictinus and Kallikratis, with its sculptural decoration overseen by Phidias, who also created the monumental gold and ivory statue of Athena that once stood inside. In the early 19th century, Lord Elgin removed many of its sculptural elements, some of which played a structural role. Today, these pieces are displayed in the British Museum, a subject that remains deeply emotional and unresolved. In front is the Erechtheion, one of the most atmospheric and symbolically rich temples on the Acropolis. It is instantly recognizable for its caryatids, the sculpted female figures that replace columns on the southern porch. What you see here today are replicas. 5 of the original caryatids are preserved and displayed in the Acropolis Museum, while the 6th is currently housed in the British Museum. Do you know how Athens got its name? According to myth, Athena and Poseidon competed to become the city's patron deity. Poseidon struck the rock with his trident and brought forth water, but it was salt water. Athena then offered an olive tree, a gift of food, oil, light, and livelihood. Her offering proved more valuable, and the city was named Athens in her honor. This viewpoint on the edge of the Acropolis hill gives you sweeping Athens panoramas, and you can spot landmarks like the Temple of Olympian Zeus, the Panathinaik Stadium, and the Lycabettus Hill in the distance. A few steps from the Parthenon are the remains of the Temple of Roman Augustus, a Roman-era addition that speaks to political reality, Athens adapting, negotiating, surviving under new powers. And now do this, walk around the Parthenon towards the south side because the views open up beautifully from here. From this side, the view opens beautifully. Below, you can see the Acropolis Museum. Across the way rises Philopapo Hill, a historic hill crowned by the monument of Philopapos, a Roman-era benefactor of Athens, and today one of the city's most beloved green spaces, known for its walking paths and panoramic views back towards the Acropolis. Down on the slope, the curve of Odeon of Herodes Atticus reveals itself once again, and on a clear day your eye naturally drifts farther south towards the Athens coastline. Here you'll also notice displays about restoration, and yes, scaffolding is part of the Acropolis reality. Large-scale systematic restoration work has been ongoing since the mid-1970s, when Greece launched a long-term scientific program to properly stabilize and protect the monuments. We're walking out through the main gate area again. There's only one entry into the Acropolis, and then towards the Boule Gate on the west side. This gate is tied to the late Roman fortifications, built in period when Athens needed defense more than grandeur. It was later revealed by French archaeologist Boule, which is how it got its name. Once you exit the archaeological site, just next to the exit lies Areopagus Hill, one of the most historically charged rocky outcrops in Athens. In ancient times, the Areopagus was far more than a viewpoint. It was the seat of one of Athens' most important institutions, the Areopagus Council, which functioned as a high court. It dealt mainly with serious cases such as homicide, wounding, and religious offenses, and its authority was closely tied to morality, law, and civic order. The hill takes its name from Ares, the god of war. According to myth, Ares himself was tied here by the other gods for the murder of Poseidon's son, a story that reflects how deeply justice, myth, and law were intertwined in ancient Greek thinking. Look out for the engraved plaque marking the spot where Apostle Paul is believed to have delivered his famous sermon addressing the Athenians about faith and philosophy. It's one of the most powerful examples of how the Acropolis landscape connects ancient Greek thought with early Christianity, all within just a few steps of each other. One practical note, the rocks here are extremely slippery, so move carefully, and while it's a popular place for sunset, it does get very crowded in the evenings. Before you leave, you'll pass the gift shop, a nice stop if you want a thoughtful souvenir that's not just a fridge magnet. Then take the most beautiful exit route. Walk Dionisio Areopagito, the pedestrian promenade that leads straight towards the Acropolis Museum. I think this is the best order, Acropolis first, museum after, because once you've seen the temples above, the museum gives you the missing pieces, the original sculptures and friezes, the story of the site through time, and of course the famous originals like the caryatids. I'll be filming a dedicated Acropolis Museum video soon, so if you want that deeper layer, stay tuned. You'll find all the details that you need and the tours that I personally recommend in the box below. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please hit the subscribe button and I'll see you in the next video.